Imagine for a moment that you are a silent traveler, standing at the threshold of the most profound journey you'll ever undertake. A journey not measured in miles or years, but in the depth of your soul's transformation. Close your eyes and feel the vibration of potential that lives within you. A sacred sanctuary waiting to be awakened. A divine blueprint yearning to be discovered. We live in a world of constant noise, perpetual distraction, and external validation, where most people are sleepwalking through life, trapped in cycles of fear, limitation, and unconscious patterns. But what if I told you that beneath the surface of your everyday existence, there's an extraordinary landscape of consciousness waiting to be explored? A realm where your true power resides, where your highest self is not just a concept, but a living, breathing reality. This is not about spiritual bypassing or magical thinking. This is about a radical, profound awakening, a systematic, intentional process of liberating yourself from the prison of your own conditioned mind. It's about dismantling the illusions that have kept you small, disconnected, and fragmented. Every great spiritual tradition, every mystical path, every transformative journey points to one fundamental truth. The greatest adventure is not outside of you, but within you. Your soul has been carrying wisdom through lifetimes, accumulating experiences, lessons, and potential. Each challenge, each moment of pain, each breakthrough has been meticulously crafted to bring you to this exact moment of potential transformation. You are not here by accident. You are here to awaken, to remember, to reclaim the divine sanctuary that has always existed within you. In the next few moments, I'm going to share with you a roadmap, not just of spiritual concepts, but of practical, tangible pathways to liberation. A journey that will challenge everything you thought you knew about yourself, about consciousness, about the very nature of reality. Are you ready to step beyond the familiar, to courageously explore the uncharted territories of your inner world? The path of awakening is not a linear progression, but a spiral of continuous revelation. It's a journey of peeling back layers, of confronting the shadows that have long resided in the hidden corners of your consciousness, and gradually emerging into a state of profound clarity and inner peace. Awakening is not about achieving a perfect state or reaching a final destination. It's about embracing a dynamic, ever-evolving process of self-discovery. It's about recognizing that you are simultaneously the seeker and the sought, the student and the master, the wounded and the healer. In this exploration, we will dive deep into the sacred architecture of consciousness. We'll examine the intricate dance between your lower self, bound by ego, fear, and limited perception, and your higher self, which carries the blueprint of your soul's highest potential. We'll investigate the mechanisms of karma and dharma, understanding how your past actions and soul's purpose interweave to create your lived experience. This journey is not for the faint-hearted. It requires courage, radical honesty, and a willingness to let go of everything you thought you knew about yourself. We'll explore the keys of awareness and release, learn how to build a spiritual sanctuary within, and understand the profound transitions of spiritual awakening. From clearing emotional shadows to bridging the divide between your ego and your eternal essence, we'll traverse a comprehensive landscape of inner transformation. You'll learn practical pathways to liberation, milestone markers of enlightenment, and how to transform life's challenges into opportunities for profound growth. Are you prepared to walk the path of awakening? To recognize the divine sanctuary that has been waiting silently within you? Stay with me now, because in the next segments, we'll unpack the exact roadmap of spiritual transformation. I'm going to reveal the precise steps, the hidden keys, and the transformative practices that will guide you through each phase of consciousness evolution. From understanding the first whispers of awareness to navigating the profound shifts of your inner world, we'll explore a journey that has the potential to revolutionize your entire existence. So take a deep breath, center yourself, and get ready. The most important journey of your life is about to begin. Keep watching, because what comes next will change everything you thought you knew about yourself and the incredible potential that lies dormant within you. Awaken the divine sanctuary within. Picture yourself as a living, breathing universe, a cosmos of infinite potential compressed into human form. Right now, as you listen to these words, something extraordinary is happening inside you. A silent revolution is brewing, a transformation so profound that it defies everything you've been taught to believe about yourself. Close your eyes for a moment. Feel the rhythm of your breath. Feel the subtle vibrations coursing through your body. What if I told you that beneath the surface of your everyday existence, there's an entire landscape of consciousness waiting to be discovered? A sanctuary so sacred, so powerful, that it has the potential to rewrite the entire script of your life? Most people walk through life like ghosts, disconnected, fragmented, believing they are nothing more than their thoughts, their struggles, their past traumas. They're prisoners of a narrative written by fear, conditioned by society, trapped in a maze of limited perception. But you are different. You're here because something within you knows there's more. Something whispers that you are not your pain, not your limitations, not the stories that have defined you until now. The divine sanctuary I'm talking about isn't some distant, unreachable spiritual concept. It's not about complicated rituals or years of mad ion in a remote monastery. It's a living, breathing reality that exists right here, right now, within the intricate architecture of your being. It's the core of your existence, the untouched, unblemished essence that has witnessed every moment of your life, yet remains unchanged. Imagine your consciousness as a multidimensional temple. Each layer represents a different aspect of your existence. Your fears, your hopes, your wounds, your potential. Most people are stuck in the basement of this temple, surrounded by shadows of past experiences, believing this is all there is. But the divine sanctuary? It resides in the highest chamber, bathed in pure light, untouched by the chaos of the lower levels. Your soul has been carrying wisdom through lifetimes. Every challenge you've faced, every moment of pain, every seemingly random experience has been a carefully crafted invitation to awakening. Nothing in your life has been accidental. Everything has been a precise orchestration of growth, of evolution, of remembering who you truly are. This isn't about becoming something new. This is about remembering something ancient, a truth so profound that it has been waiting patiently for you to recognize it. You are not here to fix yourself. You are here to remember yourself, to strip away the layers of illusion, to burn away the fog of conditioning, and to stand naked in the pure light of your own consciousness. In the next moments, we're going to begin a journey that will challenge everything you thought you knew. We'll explore the sacred architecture of your inner world, decode the language of your soul, and unlock the gateway to a transformation so deep, so radical, that it will make your previous understanding of reality seem like a distant, fading dream. Are you ready to step into the sanctuary? Are you prepared to meet the most extraordinary version of yourself? The journey begins now. Stay tuned, because in the next segment, The Sacred Heart's Vessel, we'll explore the profound mystery of your heart's spiritual intelligence. You'll discover how your heart is not just an organ, but a powerful center of consciousness that holds the key to your deepest transformation. Be prepared to unravel the secrets of your heart's true potential in ways you've never imagined before. The Sacred Heart's Vessel. Imagine your heart as more than a biological pump. What if it were a sophisticated quantum antenna, a multidimensional receiver of cosmic intelligence, holding memories far beyond your current lifetime? Every heartbeat is a universe of information. Every pulse carries a frequency of consciousness that most humans have forgotten how to interpret. Science is just beginning to understand what ancient wisdom traditions have known for millennia. The heart is not just an organ, but a gateway to profound spiritual intelligence. Your heart maintains a complex electromagnetic field that extends several meters beyond your physical body. It generates the strongest electromagnetic frequency in your entire body, 60 times greater than the brain's electrical activity. This isn't just a physiological fact. It's a portal to understanding your interconnectedness with everything around you. Consider the heart's remarkable capabilities. It communicates continuously with every cell in your body, sending more signals to the brain than the brain sends to the heart. Each heartbeat is a sophisticated language of emotion, intuition, and spiritual communication that transcends our limited understanding of physiology. Traditional cultures understood the heart as the seat of consciousness. The ancient Egyptians believed the heart was the center of intelligence, wisdom, and emotion, not the brain. In their sacred texts, during the final judgment, a person's heart would be weighed against a feather, determining their spiritual worth. This wasn't metaphorical. It was a profound understanding of consciousness that modern science is only now beginning to comprehend. Recent research in neurocardiology reveals that the heart has its own intrinsic nervous system, a brain-like structure containing over 40,000 neurons. This cardiac brain can learn, remember, and process information independently. It makes decisions, sends complex messages to the brain, and influences our entire emotional and cognitive landscape. Your heart carries emotional memories. Trauma, joy, love, pain. They're not just psychological experiences but energetic imprints stored within your heart's cellular structure. Each heartbeat is a storyteller, carrying narratives from your past, holding potential for healing and transformation. Imagine your heart as a sacred vessel, a living, breathing sanctuary of wisdom. It's not just pumping blood. It's transmitting consciousness, filtering universal intelligence, and holding the blueprint of your soul's journey. Every emotional experience you've ever had has been processed, integrated, and stored within this miraculous organ. The heart's coherence, the synchronization between heart rate, breathing, and brain wave patterns, is a key to unlocking higher states of consciousness. When you learn to harmonize these frequencies, you open doorways to intuition, healing, and spiritual insight that transcend ordinary perception. Are you ready to meet the extraordinary intelligence of your heart? Are you prepared to listen to its whispers, to understand its language beyond words? Stay tuned, because in the next segment, Clearing Emotional Shadows, a guide to heart purification, will reveal the exact processes to cleanse, heal, and activate your heart's true potential. You'll learn how to release emotional blockages, transform old wounds, and create a clear, radiant channel for your soul's highest expression. Clearing Emotional Shadows, a guide to heart purification. Emotional shadows are the invisible wounds that silently shape your entire existence. They are the unprocessed pain, the unexpressed grief, the forgotten traumas that live beneath the surface of your consciousness, creating invisible barriers to your true potential. Every emotion you've never fully processed becomes a layer of armor around your heart. These emotional residues are like invisible stones, weighing down your spiritual energy, blocking the natural flow of your inner light. They're not just memories. They're living, breathing entities that continue to influence your perception, your relationships, and your life's trajectory. Imagine your emotional landscape as a vast, intricate ecosystem. Some emotions are like crystal clear streams, flowing freely and nourishing your being. Others are stagnant pools, dark, murky, holding years of unresolved pain, fear, and disappointment. These stagnant emotions create energetic blockages that manifest as physical tension, repeated life patterns, and limited beliefs. Childhood experiences are often the root of these emotional shadows. A harsh word from a parent, a moment of rejection, an unexplained fear. These seemingly small incidents can create deep, energetic imprints that continue to run your life decades later. Your subconscious mind becomes a vault of unprocessed emotions, silently programming your reactions, choices, and experiences. Modern psychology and ancient spiritual traditions converge on one fundamental truth. Unhealed emotional wounds will continue to create similar experiences until they are fully acknowledged and released. It's like your soul sets up recurring scenarios, offering you repeated opportunities to heal, to transform, to break free from old patterns. The process of heart purification is not about erasing your emotions. It's about feeling them fully, witnessing them without judgment, and then consciously releasing their energetic hold. Each emotion is a messenger, carrying wisdom, insight, and an opportunity for profound healing. Emotional release is a sacred technology of transformation. It requires courage to look within, to face the parts of yourself you've been avoiding, to acknowledge the pain without being consumed by it. It's a process of becoming a compassionate witness to your own journey, understanding that your wounds are not your weakness, but portals to your greatest strength. Imagine your heart as a sophisticated energy processing system. Just like your body has mechanisms to eliminate physical toxins, your heart has the innate ability to clear emotional toxins. But this requires conscious participation, a willingness to feel, to breathe, to allow emotions to move through you without resistance. The techniques of heart purification are both ancient and revolutionary. They combine breathwork, somatic experiencing, energetic release practices, and conscious awareness. It's a holistic approach that recognizes emotions as intelligent energy, not something to be suppressed or feared. Through this process, you'll learn to transform your emotional shadows from heavy burdens into sources of profound wisdom. Each released emotion becomes a drop of light, expanding your capacity for love, compassion, and spiritual awareness. Are you ready to liberate your heart from the shadows that have held you back? Are you prepared to step into a new way of experiencing your emotions? Stay tuned, because in the next segment, the first key, awareness, will unveil the fundamental principle that makes all emotional transformation possible. You'll discover how conscious awareness is the master key that unlocks your heart's deepest healing potential. The first key, awareness. Awareness is not a concept. It is a living, breathing portal of transformation. It is the silent observer, the pure consciousness that watches your thoughts, emotions, and experiences without judgment, without attachment. Most people live their entire lives on autopilot, trapped in a continuous loop of unconscious reactions. Your mind becomes a machine, processing experiences through old filters of pain, fear, and conditioned responses. But awareness is the revolutionary interrupt button, the moment you step outside the mechanical program of your existing consciousness. Think of awareness like a powerful flashlight in a dark room. Most humans are stumbling around, bumping into emotional furniture, repeating patterns, believing their limited perception is all there is. Awareness allows you to suddenly illuminate the entire space, revealing hidden corners, forgotten objects, and the true layout of your inner landscape. Neuroscience reveals that over 95% of your daily actions are driven by subconscious programming. Your reactions are not truly yours. They are inherited scripts from childhood experiences, societal conditioning, and generational patterns. Awareness is the first step in reclaiming your authentic response to life. Every spiritual tradition across human history has recognized awareness as the fundamental gateway to transformation. The Buddhist concept of mindfulness, the yogic practice of witnessing, the Sufi art of presence, they all point to the same revolutionary understanding. True change begins with conscious observation. But awareness is not about thinking more. It's about thinking differently. It's a radical shift from being the thought to becoming the observer of the thought. Imagine your consciousness as a vast sky, and your thoughts as passing clouds. Awareness is the sky, unchanging, infinite, witnessing the constant movement without being disturbed by it. Your nervous system is constantly processing millions of bits of information every second. Most of this happens below your conscious perception. Awareness is like turning on a high-definition screen, suddenly making visible what was always happening but never seen. Neuroplasticity proves that where you place your attention literally rewires your brain. Each moment of conscious awareness creates new neural pathways, breaking old habitual patterns. You are not just observing, you are actively reconstructing your internal operating system. Awareness is not a destination. It's a living, dynamic process of continuous discovery. It requires no special technique, no complicated ritual. It is simply the ability to be present, to feel without resistance, to watch without judgment. Close your eyes for a moment. Feel your breath. Notice the thoughts passing through your mind. Don't engage with them. Just watch. This simple act is awareness in its purest form. You are not your thoughts. You are the consciousness observing the thoughts. The most powerful mad ion is not about stopping your thoughts. It's about changing your relationship with them. Awareness transforms your inner dialogue from a dictator to a curious, compassionate friend. Are you ready to activate the most powerful technology of transformation available to human consciousness? Are you prepared to step into a state of being that transcends your current limitations? Stay tuned, because in the next segment, the second key, release, we'll explore how awareness naturally leads to profound emotional and spiritual liberation. You'll discover the exact mechanisms of letting go, creating space for your truest self to emerge. The second key, release. Release is not weakness. It is the most profound act of spiritual courage humanity can undertake. Imagine your consciousness as a vast landscape, and release as the wind that clears away centuries of accumulated dust, revealing the pristine terrain underneath. Most humans are collectors, not of treasures, but of pain. We accumulate emotional residue like museums preserve artifacts. Grief from childhood, betrayal from past relationships, societal expectations, generational trauma, all stored carefully in the hidden chambers of our being. Release is the revolutionary act of opening those chambers and allowing everything to flow freely. Neurologically, holding onto emotions creates a chemical prison. Every unexpressed feeling becomes a biochemical pattern that rewrites your cellular memory. Stress hormones like cortisol build up, creating inflammation, blocking your body's natural healing mechanisms. Release is not just an emotional process, it's a comprehensive physical restoration. Your body keeps a precise record of every experience. Trauma isn't just a psychological concept. It's a physical imprint stored in your muscles, fascia, and nervous system. Ancient healing traditions understood what modern science is now confirming. Emotions are energy in motion. When that motion gets blocked, suffering begins. Imagine your emotional system like a complex river network. Unresolved emotions are like dams blocking the natural flow. Release is about removing those barriers, allowing your inner waters to move freely, cleaning out stagnation, bringing fresh energy to every part of your being. The art of release requires 3 fundamental components. 1. Radical acceptance. 2. Conscious feeling. 3. Intentional letting go. Radical acceptance means meeting your emotions without resistance. Not trying to change them, fix them, or make them go away. Simply acknowledging their presence with complete permission to exist. I see you. I feel you. You are welcome here. Conscious feeling is the act of experiencing emotions fully, without story, without narrative. It's pure sensation, feeling the raw energy of grief, anger, fear, without getting caught in their mental interpretations. Your emotions are messengers, not monsters. Intentional letting go is the final stage, a conscious choice to release the emotional charge. It's understanding that holding on to pain doesn't protect you. It imprisons you. You can honor your experience without being defined by it. Cutting-edge research in psychoneuroimmunology shows that emotional release has direct impacts on your immune system, hormonal balance, and cellular regeneration. You're not just healing emotionally, you're initiating a complete biological reset. Breathwork becomes a powerful technology of release. Your breath is the bridge between conscious and unconscious, between stored pain and present freedom. Each intentional breath can move decades of emotional blockage, creating spaciousness within your system. The greatest illusion is believing that your past defines your future. Release shatters that illusion. It reveals that you are not your wounds, not your stories. You are the infinite consciousness experiencing those stories, with the power to transform them in each moment. Are you prepared to become a master of release? Are you ready to liberate yourself from the emotional patterns that have limited your potential? Stay tuned, because in the next segment, Building a Spiritual Haven Within, we'll explore how release creates the foundation for building your inner sacred space. You'll discover how clearing emotional shadows opens the gateway to your most authentic spiritual expression. Building a spiritual haven within. Your inner world is not a passive landscape. It is an active, living sanctuary, a sacred architecture of consciousness that you have the power to design, cultivate, and transform. Just as an architect carefully plans every detail of a magnificent temple, you can consciously construct your internal spiritual haven. Imagine your consciousness as a multidimensional living space. Most people inhabit only a tiny corner of this vast inner mansion, unaware of the magnificent rooms, hidden passages, and unexplored wings of their own being. Building a spiritual haven is about expanding your internal residence, making it a place of profound peace, wisdom, and infinite potential. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every belief you hold is like a brick in the construction of this inner sanctuary. Some bricks are made of fear, doubt, and limitation. Others are crafted from love, courage, and expansive awareness. Your daily practice of consciousness is the mortar that holds these bricks together. Spiritual architecture is not about perfection. It's about intentional creation. Just as a home reflects the essence of those who live in it, your inner sanctuary reflects your deepest truths, your most authentic self. It's a living, breathing reflection of your soul's journey. Consider the foundational elements of this spiritual haven. 1. Sacred space of awareness. This is the central hall of your inner sanctuary. It's a space of pure observation, where you witness your experiences without judgment. Awareness becomes the light that illuminates every corner of your inner world. 2. Healing chamber. A room dedicated to emotional processing and transformation. Here, you create a compassionate space to feel, understand, and release old wounds. It's not about fixing yourself, but about creating radical acceptance. 3. Wisdom library. The repository of your soul's learning. Every experience becomes a book, every challenge a profound lesson. This is where you collect the true wealth of your existence, not material possessions, but spiritual understanding. 4. Intuition sanctuary. The most sacred room where your highest self communicates. This is the space of pure knowing beyond logic, beyond reason. Here, your inner guidance speaks in whispers of profound clarity. 5. Manifestation studio. A creative space where your intentions take shape. It's where you align your inner world with your deepest desires, where spiritual potential transforms into lived experience. Building this haven requires consistent, intentional practice. It's not a one-time construction, but an ongoing process of refinement. Each mad ion, each moment of self-reflection, each conscious breath adds another layer of sophistication to your inner sanctuary. Modern neuroscience reveals that consistent spiritual practice literally rewires your brain. You're not just creating a metaphorical space. You're creating new neural pathways, expanding your capacity for consciousness, healing, and transformation. Imagine your spiritual haven as a quantum field of infinite possibility. It's not bound by physical limitations. It can expand, contract, transform in an instant. You are the architect, the builder, and the inhabitant of this sacred space. Your inner sanctuary is not an escape from reality. It is the most powerful platform from which you can engage with the world. It becomes a source of inexhaustible peace, wisdom, and creative potential. Are you ready to become the master architect of your consciousness? Are you prepared to build a spiritual haven that can withstand any external storm? Stay tuned, because in the next segment, The Eternal Journey of the Soul, Lifetimes of Growth, we'll explore how your inner sanctuary connects to your soul's broader evolutionary journey. You'll discover the magnificent tapestry of your spiritual existence that extends far beyond this single lifetime. The eternal journey of the soul, lifetimes of growth. What if your existence is not a linear story, but a vast, multidimensional tapestry of experiences? What if the life you're living right now is just one thread in an intricate cosmic weaving, a single breath in an eternal symphony of consciousness? Your soul is not a static entity. It is a dynamic, evolving intelligence that has been traveling through dimensions of experience long before this current lifetime. Each life is not a beginning or an end, but a continuation, a profound classroom of learning, growth, and transformation. Ancient wisdom traditions across cultures have understood what modern consciousness research is just beginning to explore. You are an infinite being having a temporary human experience. The Vedic traditions speak of the soul as Atman, an eternal essence that moves through countless incarnations. The Tibetan Buddhist concept of bardo describes the soul's journey between lifetimes as a continuous process of learning and evolution. Imagine your soul as a sophisticated intelligence gathering system. Each lifetime is a mission, carefully designed to collect specific experiences, learn particular lessons, and evolve your consciousness. Your challenges are not punishments. They are precisely crafted opportunities for growth. Karma is not a system of reward and punishment. It's a sophisticated learning mechanism of the universe. Think of it as a feedback loop of consciousness. Every action, every choice creates a vibrational imprint that guides your soul's future experiences. You're not being judged. You're being supported in your evolutionary journey. Your current life is carrying the wisdom of countless previous experiences. The inexplicable fears, sudden intuitions, unexpected talents. These are echoes of soul memories carried across lifetimes. That feeling of knowing something without knowing how you know it, that's your soul's memory speaking. Quantum physics is beginning to validate what spiritual traditions have long understood. Time is not linear. Consciousness is not confined to a single lifetime. Experiments in quantum entanglement suggest that information can transcend traditional space-time boundaries. Your soul operates on a similar principle, beyond the limitations of physical perception. Every significant relationship in your life is not random. Soul connections are intricate agreements made before physical incarnation. The people who challenge you most are often your greatest teachers, souls who have agreed to play specific roles in your evolutionary journey. Imagine your soul as a vast library. Each lifetime is a book, each experience a chapter. Some chapters are filled with joy, others with challenge. But every single page contributes to the grand narrative of your spiritual evolution. Your current challenges are not accidents. They are precisely calibrated experiences designed to expand your consciousness. The relationship that broke your heart, the job you lost, the health challenge you faced. These are not random events. They are evolutionary catalysts. The soul doesn't seek perfection. It seeks expansion. Growth is not about becoming something new, but about remembering your infinite nature. Each lifetime peels away another layer of limitation, revealing more of your true essence. Are you ready to view your life through the lens of eternal growth? Are you prepared to see your challenges as sacred opportunities for transformation? Stay tuned, because in the next segment, The Blueprint of the Soul, we'll decode the intricate design of your spiritual architecture. You'll discover how your soul carries a unique energetic blueprint that guides your entire evolutionary journey. The blueprint of the soul. Your soul is not a random collection of experiences. It is a meticulously designed quantum blueprint, a sophisticated energetic map that contains the entire narrative of your spiritual evolution. Imagine a cosmic DNA, not of biological matter, but of pure consciousness, holding the complete instructions for your soul's journey. Every soul arrives with a unique energetic signature, a vibrational frequency that is as unique as a fingerprint. This blueprint is not a rigid script, but a flexible guide that adapts to your choices, your growth, your moment-to-moment consciousness. It's like a living, breathing navigation system for your spiritual journey. Consider your soul's blueprint as a multidimensional hologram. Each layer contains different levels of information. 1. Core soul purpose. The fundamental intention that brought you into this physical existence. It's not a career or a single achievement, but a vibrational mission of consciousness. 2. Karmic patterns. The energetic imprints from previous experiences that inform your current learning trajectory. These are not limitations, but precise evolutionary mechanisms. 3. Spiritual contracts. Agreements made at a soul level with other beings who will play crucial roles in your growth. These are not coincidences, but carefully orchestrated encounters. 4. Potential timelines. Multiple possible paths of experience, each holding different lessons, different opportunities for expansion. Modern quantum physics is beginning to understand what spiritual traditions have known for millennia. Consciousness is not local. Your soul's blueprint exists beyond the limitations of linear time and physical space. It's a quantum field of infinite potential, constantly shifting based on your conscious choices. Each challenge in your life is not a random occurrence. It's a precisely calibrated experience designed to activate specific aspects of your soul's blueprint. The relationship that broke your heart, the unexpected career shift, the health challenge. These are not accidents. They are activation points, moments carefully designed to awaken dormant potentials within your consciousness. Your soul's blueprint carries the wisdom of countless lifetimes. Those moments of inexplicable knowing, sudden intuitions, unexpected skills. These are downloads from your soul's extensive library of experience. You are far more intelligent than your current mental perception suggests. Imagine your soul as a quantum computer, continuously processing experiences across multiple dimensions. Each lifetime is a software update, each challenge a recalibration of your spiritual operating system. You're not learning something new, you're remembering something ancient. The human mind struggles to comprehend the complexity of this blueprint. It's like an ant trying to understand the entire internet. Your conscious mind is just the tip of an infinitely vast iceberg of consciousness. Spiritual traditions around the world have different names for this blueprint. The Vedic tradition calls it Dharma, the fundamental law of your being. Indigenous wisdom keepers speak of the soul song, a unique vibrational frequency that guides each individual's journey. Your blueprint is not a fixed destiny. It's a living, breathing guide that responds to your conscious choices. Every moment of awareness, every intentional decision creates a ripple effect through your soul's entire energetic system. Are you ready to discover the magnificent design of your soul? Are you prepared to see yourself as a profound, multidimensional being of infinite potential? Stay tuned, because in the next segment, Bridging the Lower and Higher Self, we'll explore how you can consciously align with your soul's blueprint. You'll learn the exact mechanisms of connecting your everyday consciousness with your highest spiritual potential. Bridging the lower and higher self. There's a war happening within you, a profound internal dialogue between two aspects of your consciousness. The lower self, a collection of fears, conditioned responses, and survival mechanisms. The higher self, a vast, infinite intelligence that holds your ultimate potential. Bridging these two is the most revolutionary act of spiritual transformation. Your lower self is not your enemy. It's a sophisticated survival mechanism developed through generations of human experience. It's the part of you that remembers every wound, every rejection, every moment of vulnerability. It speaks the language of protection, of caution, of survival. But it's operating on outdated software, an operating system designed for a world of constant physical threat that no longer exists. The higher self is your quantum consciousness. It exists beyond time, beyond limitation, beyond the narrow perceptions of your everyday mind. It's the part of you that knows everything is possible, that sees the grand design of your soul's journey, that understands your challenges as precisely crafted opportunities for growth. Imagine your consciousness as a bridge. On one side stands your lower self, small, contracted, afraid. On the other side, your higher self, expansive, infinite, fearless. The bridge is built through conscious awareness, intentional practice, and radical self-compassion. This bridging is not about defeating the lower self. It's about integration. Like befriending a frightened child, you learn to listen to your lower self's fears without being controlled by them. You become the compassionate witness, the loving awareness that can hold both the fear and the potential simultaneously. Neuroscience reveals the profound plasticity of human consciousness. Every moment of conscious awareness creates new neural pathways. When you choose to respond instead of react, when you pause before old patterns, you're literally rewiring your brain's relationship with fear. The lower self speaks through automatic negative thoughts, survival-based emotions, protective mechanisms, unconscious patterns. The higher self communicates through intuitive knowing, expansive inspiration, unconditional love, quantum potential. Most humans live entirely from the lower self. They mistake their conditioned thoughts for truth, their emotional reactions for reality. Bridging is about creating space between your thoughts and your essential awareness. You are not your thoughts. You are the consciousness observing the thoughts. Quantum physics suggests that consciousness influences physical reality. Your higher self operates from this understanding, that you are a creative force capable of transforming your experience through conscious intention. Every thought is a frequency, every emotion a vibration that shapes your material world. Practical bridging happens through Matayan, conscious breathing, emotional awareness, intentional observation, radical self-compassion. Your lower self will resist this process. It will create stories, generate fears, attempt to maintain the status quo. This resistance is not failure. It's a sign that profound transformation is happening. Are you ready to become the bridge between your limited perception and your infinite potential? Are you prepared to meet the most extraordinary version of yourself? Stay tuned, because in the next segment, Breaking Chains, freeing yourself from ego and attachments, we'll explore the exact mechanisms of liberation from the mental and emotional patterns that have kept you small. Breaking chains, freeing yourself from ego and attachments. The ego is not your enemy. It is a complex survival mechanism, a protective system that has kept your species alive through millennia of challenges. But what once protected you now imprisons you. Your greatest act of spiritual liberation is learning to dance with the ego without being controlled by it. Imagine your ego as a sophisticated security system. It was designed to keep you safe, to help you navigate social structures, to ensure your survival. But like an outdated computer program, it's running on algorithms that no longer serve your highest potential. The ego is a map that has become mistaken for the territory of your true self. Every attachment is a chain. Attachments to outcomes, to identities, to past experiences, to future expectations. These are the invisible bars that create your mental prison. You are not your job. You are not your relationships. You are not your past wounds. You are the infinite consciousness experiencing these temporary forms. The ego operates through three primary mechanisms. 1. Comparison, constantly measuring yourself against external standards. 2. Protection, creating elaborate defense mechanisms. 3. Identification, believing your thoughts are who you are. Neuroscience reveals that the brain is actually wired to create these protective mechanisms. The default mode network, a complex neural system, is constantly generating narratives about who you are, creating a sense of a fixed, unchanging self. But this is an illusion. You are not a noun. You are a verb, a continuous process of becoming. Your attachments are like invisible threads connecting you to pain, an attachment to being right, an attachment to a specific outcome, an attachment to a past version of yourself. Each attachment is a weight that prevents your spiritual evolution. consider the profound wisdom in letting go. It's not about becoming passive or indifferent. It's about creating space for something more expansive. Like a tree releasing its dead leaves to make room for new growth, you can learn to release what no longer serves your highest potential. The path of liberation is not about destroying the ego, but about expanding your consciousness beyond its limited perception. It's about becoming the vast sky that can contain the clouds of thought without being defined by them. Practical liberation happens through conscious awareness, radical self-observation, releasing identification with thoughts, cultivating present-moment awareness, practicing non-attachment. Your ego will resist this process. It will generate fear, create stories, attempt to maintain control. This resistance is not a failure. It is a sign that profound transformation is happening. Quantum consciousness suggests that your true self is not limited by the narratives of your mind. You are an infinite being having a temporary human experience. The ego is just a small, temporary interface, not the entirety of your being. Every moment of letting go is an act of spiritual courage. Every time you choose awareness over automatic reaction, you're breaking another chain. You're expanding beyond the limited perception that has contained you. Are you ready to step beyond the boundaries of your conditioned mind? Are you prepared to experience a freedom beyond your current imagination? Stay tuned, because in the next segment, shifting from the external to the eternal, we'll explore how to transcend the world of temporary experiences and connect with your infinite essence. Shifting from the external to the eternal. Most humans live like tourists in their own existence, constantly chasing external experiences, collecting moments like souvenirs, believing that happiness resides somewhere outside of themselves. But what if the most profound journey is not about acquiring more, but about recognizing the infinite wealth that already exists within you? The external world is a projection screen, a dynamic, ever-changing canvas that reflects your internal state of consciousness. Every circumstance, every relationship, every challenge is not happening to you, but happening through you. You are not a victim of your experiences. You are the creator of your reality. Consider the fundamental illusion of modern existence. The belief that fulfillment comes from external achievements. A better job, more money, perfect relationships, perfect body. These are not destinations. They are momentary experiences that quickly fade, leaving you hungry for the next temporary satisfaction. The shift from external to eternal is a radical recalibration of your entire perceptual system. It's about understanding that happiness is not a destination. Purpose is not a goal to be achieved. Meaning is not something you find, but something you create. Quantum physics reveals a profound truth. Consciousness is the fundamental fabric of reality. What you perceive as solid matter is actually 99.99% empty space, vibrating with infinite potential. Your thoughts are not just private mental events. They are creative frequencies that shape your material experience. Every spiritual tradition has understood this fundamental principle. Your inner world creates your outer reality. The Vedic traditions speak of Maya, the illusion of external reality. Buddhist philosophy describes the world as a reflection of mind. Indigenous wisdom keepers have always known that reality is a co-created experience. The eternal is not separate from your current experience. It is the underlying consciousness that animates every moment. It's the awareness that witnesses your thoughts, emotions, and experiences without being defined by them. You are not the content of your consciousness. You are the context, the vast, infinite space in which all experiences occur. Practical shifting happens through Madayan, conscious awareness, releasing attachment to outcomes, recognizing your thoughts as temporary experiences, cultivating present moment consciousness. Your mind will resist this transformation. It will generate fear, create stories about why change is impossible. This resistance is not failure. It is a sign that profound evolution is happening. The external world becomes a playground of experience when you realize you are not separate from it. Challenges are not obstacles. They are invitations to expand. Relationships are not about completing yourself. They are opportunities to recognize your infinite nature. Imagine yourself as a vast, infinite consciousness temporarily experiencing human form. Your body is not a limitation. It is a sophisticated vehicle of experience. Your mind is not a fixed identity. It is a dynamic interface of infinite potential. Are you ready to step beyond the illusion of external limitation? Are you prepared to recognize the eternal essence that has always been waiting to be discovered? Stay tuned, because in the next segment, Letting Go of Validation, we'll explore how to free yourself from the need for external approval and step into your most authentic power. Letting go of validation, breaking free from external approval. Imagine for a moment the invisible chains that have been silently binding your spirit. These chains aren't made of metal, but something far more insidious, the constant need for external validation. Every nod of approval, every fleeting moment of praise has been constructing a prison around your authentic self. Think back to the moments that truly defined you. Were they the times you received applause, or the instances when you stood alone, trembling but true to yourself? Validation is a seductive illusion, a mirage that promises fulfillment but delivers only emptiness. It's the voice that whispers, "You are worthy only when others say you are." But what if I told you that your worth is not a currency to be traded in the marketplace of opinions? What if your essence, your pure, unfiltered self, exists beyond the judgments, expectations, and conditional love of others? The pursuit of validation is a relentless game with no winning move. It's like trying to catch water with your bare hands. The more tightly you grip, the more it slips away. Each time you modify yourself to fit someone else's expectations, you're carving away pieces of your soul, leaving behind a hollow sculpture of who you think you should be, not who you truly are. Consider the great transformative figures throughout history. Did Gandhi seek validation from the British Empire? Did Martin Luther King Jr. wait for approval before speaking his truth? Did Maya Angelou pause her poetry because someone might disagree? No. They understood a profound truth. Authenticity resonates at a frequency far more powerful than the static of external approval. Breaking free from validation isn't about becoming rebellious or indifferent. It's about cultivating a deep, unshakable connection with your inner self. It's learning to listen to the whispers of your heart over the loud shouts of societal expectations. It's recognizing that your worth is inherent, not earned through performance or people-pleasing. This journey requires courage, raw, unbridled courage to stand naked in front of your own truth, to acknowledge your fears, your vulnerabilities, your imperfections, and to love them completely. Each time you choose authenticity over acceptance, you're not just breaking a chain, you're forging a new path of personal liberation. Practical transformation begins with small, intentional steps. Start by observing your reactions. When do you seek validation? In professional settings? Personal relationships? Social media? Become a compassionate witness to these patterns. Don't judge them, simply acknowledge their existence. Next, practice radical self-acceptance. Look in the mirror and declare, "I am enough, exactly as I am in this moment." These aren't just words. They're a revolutionary act of self-love. They're a declaration of independence from the tyranny of external opinions. Learn to validate yourself. Celebrate your efforts, not just your achievements. Recognize your growth, your resilience, your unique journey. Your internal compass is far more reliable than any external validation meter. As we conclude this segment, I invite you to take a deep breath. Feel the liberation building within you. This is just the beginning of a profound journey of self-discovery and authentic living. Stay tuned for our next powerful segment, Practical Pathways to Liberation, where we'll explore concrete strategies to transform these insights into lived experience. Practical Pathways to Liberation. transforming insight into action. Imagine standing at the threshold of true freedom. Not the freedom defined by external circumstances, but a profound internal liberation that radiates from the depths of your being. This isn't a mystical concept reserved for spiritual masters. It's a tangible, achievable reality that lives within each of us. Liberation is not about escaping life, but about fully experiencing it without the heavy baggage of fear, conditioning, and limited beliefs. It's about creating spaciousness within yourself, a sanctuary where your true essence can breathe, expand, and flourish. Let's get brutally honest. Most of us are trapped in invisible prisons of our own making. These prisons are constructed from layers of societal expectations, childhood programming, unhealed traumas, and unconscious patterns. Each belief, each fear is a bar in this mental cage. Liberation is the art of recognizing these bars and systematically dismantling them. The first practical pathway begins with radical self-awareness. This isn't about harsh self-criticism, but compassionate observation. Imagine yourself as a kind, curious scientist studying the intricate landscape of your inner world. What patterns do you notice? Where do you feel constriction? Where do you feel expansiveness? Mad-ion becomes your primary tool, not as a mystical ritual, but as a precise technology of consciousness. But we're not talking about sitting for hours in impossible postures. We're discussing practical, accessible Mad-ion that fits into your real life. Start with 5 minutes daily. Breathe. Observe your thoughts without judgment. Let them pass like clouds in the sky of your awareness. Your breath is the bridge between the external world and your internal universe. Most people breathe unconsciously, but conscious breathing is a portal to liberation. When you're stressed, your breath becomes shallow. When you're present, your breath becomes deep and rhythmic. Learn to use your breath as a reset button for your nervous system. Personal boundaries are another crucial pathway to liberation. Many people mistake boundaries for walls, but true boundaries are flexible membranes that protect your energy while allowing authentic connection. Learn to say no without guilt. Learn to say yes without resentment. Your boundaries are a declaration of self-respect. Emotional intelligence is not a luxury. It's a survival skill in the journey of liberation. Most of us were never taught how to process emotions. We either suppress them or get swept away by them. The liberated approach is to feel emotions fully, without identifying completely with them. Emotions are visitors. Welcome them, learn from them, but don't let them become permanent residents. Practical liberation also requires radical responsibility. This means acknowledging that your life experience is a result of your choices, not your circumstances. You are not a victim of your past, but the architect of your present and future. Every moment offers a choice: to contract or to expand, to react or to respond. Shadow work is the advanced practice of liberation. These are the parts of yourself you've rejected, hidden, or been ashamed of. By bringing these shadow aspects into consciousness with compassion, you integrate fragmented parts of yourself. This integration is where true power resides. Your relationships become a profound playground for liberation. Instead of seeing others as sources of validation or threats, view them as mirrors reflecting your inner landscape. Every triggering interaction is an opportunity for growth, not a reason for conflict. Remember, liberation is not a destination. It's a continuous journey of awakening, of peeling back layers, of choosing consciousness over unconsciousness moment by moment. As we conclude this segment, I invite you to take a deep, liberating breath. Feel the potential of your own transformation. Stay tuned for our next transformative exploration, the path of spiritual mastery, milestones to enlightenment, where we'll map the extraordinary journey of spiritual evolution, the path of spiritual mastery, milestones to enlightenment. Close your eyes for a moment. Take a breath that connects you to something larger than yourself. Spiritual mastery is not a distant peak reserved for monks or mystics. It's a living, breathing journey that pulses within each of us, waiting to be awakened. Enlightenment is often misunderstood as a final destination, a magical moment of total transformation. But the truth is far more nuanced. It's a progressive path of awakening, a series of profound shifts in consciousness that fundamentally reshape how we perceive reality. Imagine consciousness as a multi-layered landscape. Each milestone of spiritual mastery is like ascending to a new vantage point, where the view becomes increasingly expansive, increasingly interconnected. These aren't mere intellectual concepts. They are lived experiences that fundamentally alter your relationship with yourself, with others, and with the universe. The first critical understanding is that spiritual mastery is not about becoming something you're not. It's about removing the layers that obscure who you truly are. Think of it like a sculptor chiseling away excess marble to reveal the masterpiece within. Your authentic self is not something to be created, but something to be uncovered. Let's break down the core milestones of this transformative journey. The initial awakening represents the first crack in the shell of your conditioned perception. It's that moment when you first realize that reality is far more mysterious and interconnected than you've been taught. This isn't a conceptual understanding. It's a visceral, lived experience that shakes the very foundation of your previous worldview. Imagine waking up and suddenly seeing the world with new eyes. The trees aren't just objects. They're living, breathing entities. Your sense of separation begins to dissolve. You start experiencing a profound interconnectedness that transcends individual identity. But this first awakening is just the beginning. It can be disorienting, even overwhelming. Many people experience a sense of existential vertigo, as if the ground beneath their feet has suddenly become fluid. Your previous certainties start to crumble, and that's precisely where true transformation begins. The subsequent awakenings are not linear progressions but spiraling expansions of consciousness. Each phase requires you to release previous identities, previous limitations. You're not climbing a ladder. You're expanding like a universe, with each milestone revealing deeper layers of complexity and simplicity. Spiritual mastery demands radical honesty. Not the kind of honesty that judges or criticizes, but a compassionate, unflinching awareness. You must be willing to look at your shadows, those aspects of yourself you've hidden, denied, or been ashamed of. These shadows are not enemies to be fought, but wounded parts seeking integration and healing. Madion becomes more than a practice, it becomes a state of being. You're no longer just sitting and observing thoughts. You're becoming the spaciousness in which thoughts arise and dissolve. Your consciousness becomes like an infinite sky, where thoughts are merely passing clouds. Energy management becomes crucial. You learn to recognize how your inner state affects your external reality. Your emotions are no longer random experiences that happen to you, but subtle energies that you can consciously navigate and transform. Compassion emerges not as a moral obligation, but as a natural expression of expanded awareness. You begin to see the fundamental unity beneath apparent differences. Judgment softens. Acceptance deepens. You recognize that every being is fighting their own complex battle. The path of spiritual mastery is not about achieving perfection. It's about embracing the beautiful, messy, complex journey of human existence. It's about becoming increasingly aware, increasingly present, increasingly connected. Each milestone is both an ending and a beginning. You're continuously dying to old versions of yourself and being reborn into more expansive expressions of consciousness. As we conclude this segment, I invite you to pause. Feel the potential of your own spiritual evolution vibrating within you. Stay tuned for our next profound exploration, the First Awakening, where we'll unravel the mystical landscape of initial spiritual transformation. The First Awakening, the moment everything changes. Imagine a single moment that shatters everything you thought you knew about yourself and the world. A profound instant when the veil of illusion suddenly lifts and reality reveals itself in all its raw, unfiltered brilliance. This is the First Awakening, a transformative experience that marks the beginning of your true spiritual journey. Most people live their entire lives trapped in a dream, a carefully constructed narrative of who they think they are. You move through the world believing you are separate, limited, defined by your past, constrained by your circumstances. But the first awakening is the explosive realization that this entire narrative is nothing more than a thin veneer covering a much deeper, more magnificent truth. It often comes unexpected. You might be sitting in traffic, walking in nature, or in the midst of an ordinary moment when suddenly everything shifts. The boundaries between you and the world become transparent. Your sense of a solid, separate self begins to dissolve, and you experience a profound interconnectedness that defies logical explanation. This isn't a mental concept. It's a visceral, full-body experience of expanded consciousness. Your perception cracks open like a chrysalis, revealing a reality far more miraculous than you ever imagined. Suddenly, the world is not something happening to you. You are an integral part of a living, breathing universe. The first awakening typically arrives with several characteristic experiences. First, a radical dissolution of the ego. That protective mechanism that has been constructing your identity suddenly becomes transparent. You realize that the you you've been defending is actually a collection of memories, conditioned responses, and learned behaviors, not your true essence. Second, an overwhelming sense of presence. Time seems to both stand still and expand infinitely. You're completely anchored in the now, experiencing each moment with a crystal-clear awareness that was always present but previously obscured by constant mental chatter. Third, a profound sense of interconnectedness. The artificial boundaries between self and other begin to crumble. You start experiencing a unity that transcends individual identity. The tree is no longer just a tree. It's a living expression of consciousness. The person next to you is no longer a stranger. They're a reflection of the same universal energy. Many describe this experience as simultaneously terrifying and ecstatic. It's like suddenly realizing you're not a drop in the ocean, but the entire ocean experiencing itself through a drop. The intellectual understanding transforms into a living, breathing realization. But the first awakening is not a final destination, it's an initiation. It's the moment when your spiritual journey truly begins. Many people make the mistake of trying to hold onto this experience, to recreate it. But awakening is not about achieving a permanent state. It's about continuously opening, continuously surrendering. The aftermath can be challenging. Your previous worldview starts to crumble. Relationships may shift. Your priorities transform. The things that once seemed important lose their grip. You begin to live from a place of authenticity rather than conditioning. This doesn't mean you become detached or stop participating in life. Instead, you participate more fully, more authentically. Your actions come from a place of profound presence rather than reactive patterns. Practical integration becomes crucial. How do you bring this expanded awareness into your daily life? How do you maintain this awakened state while paying bills, managing relationships, navigating challenges? It's not about escaping reality, but about transforming your relationship with reality. Mad-ion, mindfulness, conscious breathing become not just practices, but ways of being. You learn to cultivate the spaciousness you discovered during the awakening. You become a living bridge between the transcendent and the mundane. The first awakening is an invitation, a whisper from the universe saying, "There's so much more to you than you've been taught to believe." It's the first step in a journey of continuous unfolding, continuous remembering of your true nature. As we conclude this segment, take a deep breath. Feel the potential of awakening vibrating within you. Stay tuned for our next transformative exploration, the second awakening, where we'll uncover the next level of spiritual transformation. The second awakening, transcending personal limitations. Imagine standing at the edge of your known self, peering into a vast landscape of unexplored consciousness. The second awakening is not a gentle transition. It's a radical quantum leap in spiritual understanding that shatters the remnants of your previous identifications. Where the first awakening cracked open your perception, the second awakening demolishes the entire structure of your limited self. This is not a refinement of your existing understanding, but a complete reconstruction of your relationship with reality. The journey begins with a profound recognition. The self you've been protecting, defending, and identifying with is nothing more than a complex narrative, a collection of stories, wounds, and conditioned responses. In the second awakening, you start to witness these patterns with a detachment that is both liberating and transformative. Imagine your consciousness as a multi-layered ecosystem. The first awakening cleared the initial fog, but the second awakening is like a profound ecological shift. Old survival mechanisms, deeply ingrained belief systems, and unconscious patterns begin to lose their grip. You're no longer just observing these patterns. You're becoming the spacious awareness that allows them to arise and dissolve. Energy becomes your primary language of experience. You start to understand that thoughts, emotions, and experiences are not solid things, but dynamic energy patterns. Your body becomes a sophisticated antenna, sensing subtle vibrations that were previously invisible. Intuition transforms from a vague concept to a precise navigational system. The most significant marker of the second awakening is a radical shift in your relationship with suffering. Pain doesn't disappear, but your relationship to pain fundamentally changes. You begin to recognize suffering as a teacher, not an enemy. Each challenge becomes an opportunity for deeper understanding, a portal to expanded consciousness. Relationships undergo a profound metamorphosis. The ego-driven dynamics of manipulation, control, and validation begin to dissolve. You start seeing people not through the lens of what they can do for you, but as fellow travelers on a complex spiritual journey. Compassion becomes your default mode of interaction, not as a moral obligation, but as a natural expression of expanded awareness. Your perception of time transforms. Linear time becomes a construct you can step in and out of. Moments of profound presence stretch into eternity, while years can feel like a single breath. You're no longer trapped in the chronological narrative. You become the timeless awareness witnessing the flow of experiences. Healing takes on a new dimension. You realize that true healing is not about fixing something broken, but about recognizing the fundamental wholeness that was always present. Traumas are no longer solid blocks of pain, but energy patterns waiting to be understood and integrated. The spiritual practices that once felt like external activities become your natural state of being. Meditation is no longer something you do. It's something you are. Mindfulness is not a technique, but your fundamental way of experiencing reality. Creativity explodes in unexpected ways. Freed from the constraints of the limited self, you become a channel for something larger. Your actions come from a place of spontaneous inspiration rather than calculated planning. You trust the intelligence of the moment more than your mental strategies. But this awakening is not about achieving a perfect state. It's about continuous surrender, continuous opening. Each moment becomes an invitation to let go, to expand, to trust the intelligence of the universe moving through you. The challenges are real. The process can be disorienting. You might feel like you're losing your mind, which is precisely the point. The mind that brought you to this point cannot comprehend the next level of consciousness. Your relationship with fear transforms. Fear is no longer something to be conquered, but a subtle energy to be understood. You learn to sit with uncertainty, to dance with the unknown, to find peace in the midst of chaos. As we conclude this segment, take a moment. Breathe into the vast potential of your own consciousness. Stay tuned for our next profound exploration, the Third Awakening, where we'll unravel the next extraordinary frontier of spiritual evolution. The Third Awakening, the dissolution of separation. Picture a moment of such profound clarity that the very concept of individual existence begins to unravel. The Third Awakening is not just a shift in perception. It's a complete dismantling of the fundamental illusion of separation that has defined human experience. Where previous awakenings cracked open your understanding, the third awakening is a complete demolition of the walls between self and universe. Imagine consciousness expanding so dramatically that the boundaries between you and everything else become as thin and meaningless as a fog dissolving in morning light. This is not a philosophical concept. It's a lived experience that transforms every single aspect of your being. The separation you've believed in between inner and outer, between self and other, between spirit and matter, reveals itself as nothing more than a complex optical illusion. In the third awakening, you begin to understand that consciousness is not something you have, but something you are. You're not a separate entity experiencing the universe. You are the universe experiencing itself through a unique perspective. Each breath, each thought, each moment becomes a profound expression of cosmic intelligence. The intellectual understanding of interconnectedness transforms into a visceral, cellular knowing. Your body becomes a living, breathing ecosystem that is simultaneously individual and universal. You're not just connected to everything, you are everything experiencing itself through the temporary lens of human perception. Energy perception reaches a new level of sophistication. You can sense the subtle vibrations that connect all things. The wall, the tree, another person, these are no longer separate objects, but dynamic expressions of a single, infinite consciousness. Boundaries become permeable. Distinctions blur. Your relationship with time and space fundamentally transforms. Linear time reveals itself as a construct. Past, present, and future exist simultaneously. You can simultaneously experience multiple dimensions of reality, understanding that time is not a line but a complex, multidimensional fabric. Compassion becomes your natural state, not as an emotion, but as a fundamental recognition of the underlying unity of all existence. The suffering of others is no longer something separate from you. You feel it as your own, not through empathy, but through a profound understanding of fundamental oneness. The ego doesn't disappear, it becomes transparent. You can still function in the world, make decisions, maintain relationships, but there's a fundamental shift. The ego is no longer the driver, but a tool. You use it without being trapped by it. Creativity becomes pure channel. Your actions are no longer driven by personal agenda, but by the intelligence of the universe moving through you. You become an instrument of something far larger than your individual self. This awakening brings profound challenges. The old structures of identity begin to crumble. Your previous understanding of reality seems like a distant dream. You might experience periods of disorientation, of feeling simultaneously everywhere and nowhere. Relationships transform radically. You can't manipulate or be manipulated. Interactions become pure exchanges of energy. Communication happens beyond words, through a direct transmission of consciousness. Your purpose is no longer something you chase, but something that emerges spontaneously. You become a living response to the moment, free from the constraints of personal desire or societal expectation. The spiritual practices that once seemed like techniques become your natural state. Madion is no longer something you do, you are Madion. Mindfulness is not a practice, but your fundamental way of being. This is not a state of detachment, but of ultimate engagement. You participate in life with a depth and intensity that was previously unimaginable. Every moment becomes a miracle, every interaction a sacred encounter. As we conclude this segment, take a breath. Feel the infinite potential of consciousness breathing through you. Stay tuned for our next transformative exploration, the fourth awakening, where we'll uncover the ultimate frontier of spiritual evolution. The fourth awakening, the ultimate dissolution. Imagine a moment of consciousness so profound that all previous concepts of reality completely dissolve. The fourth awakening is not just a spiritual experience. It's the ultimate frontier of human consciousness, a state of being that transcends everything you've ever understood about existence. If the previous awakenings were like removing layers of an onion, The fourth awakening is the moment when the onion itself vanishes. Here, the very concept of awakening becomes meaningless. There is no separate self to awaken, no journey to complete, no destination to reach. This is a state beyond description, beyond understanding. Language itself becomes a limitation, a crude tool unable to capture the infinite complexity of pure consciousness. Yet, we'll attempt to illuminate this extraordinary realm of experience. In the fourth awakening, the universe is no longer something you experience. You are the universe experiencing itself. Every concept of individual identity completely dissolves. There's no separation between observer and observed, between consciousness and the field of consciousness. Imagine a state of pure awareness so vast that personal history becomes irrelevant. Your entire life story, with all its struggles, achievements, and narratives, appears like a fleeting dream against the backdrop of infinite consciousness. You are simultaneously everything and nothing, the absolute and the absolute absence. The mind, which has been your primary tool of navigation, becomes transparent. Thoughts arise and dissolve without any attachment, without any sense of ownership. You're not thinking, consciousness is thinking through you. The constant mental chatter becomes a distant, insignificant ripple in an infinite ocean of awareness. Energy perception reaches its ultimate refinement. You can simultaneously perceive multiple dimensions of reality. The physical world, the energetic realm, the quantum field, all exist as simultaneous expressions of a single, unified consciousness. Boundaries between matter and energy, between form and formlessness, completely disappear. Compassion transforms into something beyond human understanding. It's not an emotion or a choice. It's the fundamental nature of existence. Every apparent separation reveals itself as an illusion. The suffering of a single cell is the suffering of the entire universe. The joy of a single moment is the joy of infinite consciousness. Time and space become meaningless constructs. You can simultaneously exist in multiple timelines, multiple realities. Past, present, and future are recognized as arbitrary divisions of a single timeless moment. Your perception expands beyond linear experience into a multidimensional existence. The ego doesn't just become transparent, it completely dissolves. There's no resistance, no effort, no personal agenda. Actions happen through you, but they're not generated by a personal self. You become a pure expression of cosmic intelligence. Creativity reaches its ultimate potential. You're no longer a creator, you are the creative principle itself. Every moment is a spontaneous, miraculous expression of infinite potential. Art, science, spirituality, all become different languages of the same fundamental truth. This state is not about achieving something or reaching a goal. It's about recognizing what has always been true. The journey of awakening reveals itself as a journey that was never necessary, because you were never truly separate to begin with. Relationships transform into pure energy exchanges. Communication happens beyond words, beyond thought. You can instantaneously understand the entire universe of another being in a single moment of connection. The challenges of this state are profound. Your entire framework of reality completely breaks down. There's no ground to stand on, no concept to hold on to. You become comfortable with absolute uncertainty, absolute openness. This is not a state of bliss in the conventional sense. It's a radical acceptance of what is, beyond any judgment, beyond any preference. You become a living embodiment of unconditional presence. As we conclude this segment, breathe into the infinite potential of consciousness. Stay tuned for our next profound exploration, Transformation Through Death, a spiritual passage, where we'll unravel the mystical journey of spiritual transition. Transformation through death, a spiritual passage. Death is not an ending. It is the most profound transformation in the human experience. A sacred passage that extends far beyond the physical cessation of life. What if death is not something to be feared, but a gateway to the most extraordinary journey of consciousness? Imagine death not as a final curtain, but as a magnificent transition. Every moment of your life has been a preparation for this ultimate passage, a journey that transcends the limited boundaries of physical existence. Death is not a punishment, not a loss, but a profound spiritual metamorphosis. Most cultures have approached death with fear, with resistance. We build elaborate mechanisms to avoid contemplating our mortality. But true spiritual wisdom lies in embracing death as an integral part of the life cycle, a natural, sacred process of transformation. Physical death is merely the shedding of a temporary vehicle. Your consciousness, that infinite, eternal essence, cannot be destroyed. It simply changes form, like water transforming from liquid to vapor, from one state to another. The body is a vessel, but you are the infinite awareness moving through that vessel. Consider the extraordinary intelligence of nature. Every living system understands transformation. A caterpillar doesn't resist becoming a butterfly. A seed doesn't fight against becoming a tree. Why do humans struggle so intensely with the natural process of transition? The spiritual preparation for death begins long before the physical body shows signs of decline. It starts with a radical acceptance of impermanence. Every moment is a mini-death, a letting go of the previous instant, a continuous flow of transformation. Consciousness doesn't end with physical death. It simply shifts frequency, changes perspective. The experiences you've accumulated, the consciousness you've cultivated, the love you've generated, these are not lost. They are the very essence that continues beyond physical limitation. Near-death experiences consistently reveal a profound truth. Consciousness is not confined to the brain or body. People who have momentarily crossed the threshold report experiences of expanded awareness, of interconnectedness that defies our current scientific understanding. Spiritual traditions across the world have long understood death as a sacred passage. The Tibetan Book of the Dead provides intricate maps of consciousness during the transition. Ancient Egyptian mystical practices saw death as a carefully navigated spiritual journey. Indigenous traditions have always recognized death as a transformation, not an ending. The fear of death is ultimately a fear of the unknown. But what if the unknown is not something to be feared, but something to be explored with wonder? What if death is the ultimate adventure of consciousness? Prepare for this passage not through fear, but through conscious living. Cultivate awareness. Practice letting go. Understand that every attachment is a limitation. Build a relationship with the infinite part of yourself that cannot be destroyed. Madayon becomes a crucial practice. Learn to witness your thoughts, your experiences without attachment. This is the same skill you'll need during the transition of death. Can you remain present, aware, unattached? Love becomes your primary currency. Not romantic love, not personal love, but a universal, unconditional love that recognizes the fundamental interconnectedness of all beings. The love you cultivate becomes the vehicle of your consciousness. Your relationships transform when you understand the eternal nature of consciousness. Death is not a separation, but a different form of connection. The bonds of consciousness transcend physical limitation. The moment of physical death is not a moment of ending, but of ultimate expansion. Imagine releasing the constraints of the physical body, expanding into a state of pure awareness. No limitations, no boundaries, pure potential. This is not about believing in an afterlife. This is about directly experiencing the infinite nature of consciousness. About recognizing that you are not a temporary being having a spiritual experience, but an eternal consciousness having a temporary human experience. As we conclude this segment, take a deep breath. Feel the infinite potential of your consciousness. Stay tuned for our next transformative exploration, embracing the first phase, where we'll uncover the initial stages of spiritual transformation. Embracing the first phase, the initial spiritual transformation. Imagine standing at the threshold of a profound personal revolution. The first phase of spiritual transformation is not about becoming something extraordinary. It's about stripping away everything that is not authentically you. It's a journey of radical self-discovery, where every layer of conditioning begins to fall away, revealing your true essence. This phase is like a spiritual chrysalis, a time of intense internal metamorphosis. From the outside, it might look like nothing is happening, but internally, everything is changing. You're breaking free from the invisible scripts that have defined your existence. Societal expectations, inherited beliefs, unconscious patterns that have been running your life without your awareness. The first phase is characterized by a growing sense of inner restlessness. Something within you knows that the life you've been living is not your true path. It's that persistent whisper that says, "There's more to life than this." This restlessness is not a problem to be solved. It's a sacred invitation to awakening. Your relationship with yourself begins to transform fundamentally. The constant inner critic starts to lose its power. You begin to recognize that the voice of judgment is just another conditioning, not your true self. Self-compassion becomes your primary practice, not as a soft, passive acceptance, but as a radical act of self-liberation. Spiritual practices become your lifeline during this phase. Mad-ion is no longer a luxury or an occasional practice. It becomes a necessary technology of consciousness. But we're not talking about complex rituals or impossible postures. This is about creating moments of pure awareness in the midst of your daily life. Your perception of reality starts to shift. The world doesn't change, but your relationship with the world transforms. You begin to see beyond the surface-level narratives. People, situations, challenges, they become invitations for deeper understanding rather than obstacles to be conquered. Relationships undergo a profound transformation. The people-pleasing mechanisms begin to dissolve. You start setting boundaries not from a place of aggression, but from a place of self-respect. Some relationships will naturally fall away, while others will deepen in ways you never imagined possible. Practical challenges will arise. The path of spiritual transformation is not always comfortable. You might experience a sense of isolation as you outgrow old patterns, confusion as your previous worldview begins to crumble, resistance from people who are uncomfortable with your transformation, internal turbulence as you release old identifications. But these challenges are not obstacles. They are the very fuel of your transformation. Each challenge is an opportunity to practice awareness, to choose consciousness over unconscious reaction. Your relationship with work, success, and achievement transforms. You start to recognize that true fulfillment comes from alignment, not from external validation. Your actions become less about proving yourself and more about expressing your authentic essence. Energy management becomes crucial. You'll start to recognize how your inner state affects your external reality. Emotions are no longer something that happen to you. They become subtle energy patterns that you can consciously navigate. The first phase is about creating spaciousness. Space between your thoughts. Space between your reactions. Space to simply be. It's about learning to listen to the wisdom that exists beyond the constant mental chatter. Your body becomes a profound tool of awareness. Somatic practices, paying attention to bodily sensations, understanding the intelligence of your physical experience, become as important as mental practices. Your body is not separate from your spiritual journey. It is the journey. This is not about achieving a perfect state. It's about continuous opening, continuous surrender. Each moment becomes an invitation to let go, to trust, to expand. As we conclude this segment, take a moment. Breathe into the potential of your own transformation. Stay tuned for our next profound exploration, transitioning to the second phase, where we'll uncover the next level of spiritual evolution. Transitioning to the second phase, deepening spiritual awareness. Imagine standing at the edge of a profound internal landscape, where the foundations of your previous understanding begin to crumble, making way for a more expansive consciousness. The transition to the second phase is not a linear progression, but a quantum leap in spiritual awareness, a moment when your entire perception of reality begins to fundamentally reshape itself. Where the first phase was about breaking down old patterns, the second phase is about building a new relationship with yourself and the universe. This is not about adding something new, but about creating spaciousness for your true essence to emerge. The markers of this transition are subtle yet profound. You begin to recognize that your spiritual journey is not about achieving a perfect state, but about continuous unfolding. The rigid boundaries between your inner and outer worlds start to become transparent. You're no longer just observing your experiences. You're becoming the aware space in which experiences arise. Energy becomes your primary language of experience. Where you once interpreted the world through thoughts and emotions, you now sense subtle vibrations, interconnected fields of consciousness. Your intuition transforms from a vague concept to a precise navigational system. Your relationship with challenges fundamentally shifts. Problems are no longer something to be solved, but invitations for deeper understanding. Each obstacle becomes a portal to expanded awareness. You start to recognize that what you previously perceived as resistance is actually an opportunity for growth. Madion evolves from a practice to a state of being. You're no longer trying to achieve a particular state of consciousness. You become the awareness that witnesses all states. The mind, which once seemed like a constant companion, begins to lose its grip. Thoughts arise and dissolve without creating the same level of identification. Emotional intelligence reaches a new level of sophistication. You develop the capacity to feel deeply without being overwhelmed. Emotions are no longer seen as something happening to you, but as energy patterns moving through your consciousness. You can hold complex emotional experiences with incredible compassion and clarity. Your understanding of personal history transforms. The stories that once defined you begin to lose their solid ground. You start to see your past not as a fixed narrative, but as a fluid energy that can be understood, integrated, and ultimately transformed. Relationships undergo a profound metamorphosis. The ego-driven dynamics of manipulation, control, and validation begin to dissolve. You start seeing people not through the lens of what they can do for you, but as fellow travelers on a complex spiritual journey. The practical challenges of this transition are real. You might experience a sense of disorientation as old frameworks of understanding fall away, increased sensitivity to subtle energies, periods of intense emotional processing, a growing sense of disconnection from previous social structures, heightened intuitive abilities. But these challenges are not obstacles. They are the very mechanism of your transformation. Each moment becomes an invitation to trust, to surrender, to expand beyond your previous limitations. Your creativity explodes in unexpected ways. Freed from the constraints of the limited self, you become a channel for something larger. Your actions come from a place of spontaneous inspiration rather than calculated planning. The concept of purpose transforms. You're no longer seeking a predetermined path, but becoming a living response to the moment. Your actions emerge from a place of profound presence rather than personal agenda. This transition is not about achieving perfection. It's about continuous surrender, continuous opening. Each moment becomes an invitation to let go, to trust the intelligence of the universe moving through you. As we conclude this segment, take a moment. Breathe into the vast potential of your own consciousness. Stay tuned for our next profound exploration, Transcending in the third phase, where we'll unravel the next extraordinary frontier of spiritual evolution. Transcending in the third phase, the quantum leap of consciousness. Picture a moment of transformation so profound that everything you thought you knew about reality begins to dissolve. The third phase is not just another stage of spiritual growth. It's a quantum leap of consciousness that shatters the very foundations of your previous understanding. Where previous phases were about breaking down limitations, the third phase is about recognizing the fundamental illusion of limitation itself. You are no longer just expanding consciousness, you are becoming the expansiveness itself. The boundaries between inner and outer, between self and universe, begin to reveal themselves as nothing more than a complex optical illusion. This phase arrives not as a gentle transition, but as a radical dismantling of everything you've believed about yourself and reality. It's like suddenly realizing you've been watching a movie, and now you can see the entire projection system, the screen, and the light itself. Your perception of time transforms completely. Linear time becomes a construct you can step in and out of at will. Moments stretch into eternity, while years can feel like a single breath. You're no longer trapped in chronological narrative. You become the timeless awareness witnessing the flow of experiences. Energy perception reaches an extraordinary level of sophistication. You can simultaneously perceive multiple dimensions of reality. The physical world, the quantum field, the energetic realms, all exist as simultaneous expressions of a single, unified consciousness. Boundaries between matter and energy, between form and formlessness, completely dissolve. The ego doesn't just become transparent. It reveals itself as a necessary but ultimately illusory construct. You can still function in the world, make decisions, maintain relationships. But there's a fundamental shift. The ego is no longer the driver, but a subtle tool of expression. Your relationship with suffering undergoes a profound transformation. Pain doesn't disappear, but your relationship to pain fundamentally changes. You recognize suffering as a complex energy pattern, a temporary ripple in the infinite ocean of consciousness. Compassion becomes your default mode of being, not as an emotion, but as a fundamental recognition of underlying unity. Creativity explodes beyond previous limitations. You become a pure channel of cosmic intelligence. Your actions are no longer driven by personal agenda, but emerge as spontaneous expressions of a larger intelligence. Art, science, relationships, all become different languages of the same fundamental truth. Practical challenges of this phase are profound. Complete dissolution of previous identity structures. Periods of intense energetic recalibration. Navigating a reality that defies conventional understanding. Maintaining functional relationships while experiencing expanded consciousness. Integrating mystical experiences into daily life. Your intuition becomes so refined that it transcends the concept of intuition itself. You're no longer receiving guidance, you are the guidance. Decision-making happens through a direct transmission of cosmic intelligence, beyond mental calculation. Relationships transform into pure energy exchanges. Communication happens beyond words, beyond thought. You can instantaneously understand the entire universe of another being in a single moment of connection. This is not a state of detachment, but of ultimate engagement. You participate in life with a depth and intensity that was previously unimaginable. Every moment becomes a miracle, every interaction a sacred encounter. The spiritual practices that once seemed like techniques become your natural state of being. Mad-ion is no longer something you do, you are Mad-ion. Mindfulness is not a practice, but your fundamental way of experiencing reality. As we conclude this segment, take a profound breath. Feel the infinite potential of consciousness breathing through you. As we've journeyed through the profound landscape of spiritual awakening, we've explored the deepest realms of human consciousness. From awakening the divine sanctuary within to understanding the intricate blueprint of the soul, this journey is about breaking free from the limitations of the ego and connecting with your true, eternal self. Our exploration revealed 4 critical stages of awakening, each a milestone in spiritual mastery that progressively liberates you from external illusions and connects you to your higher self. We've uncovered the sacred keys of awareness and release, learned to clear emotional shadows, and discovered how to build a spiritual haven within. This is not just a video. This is an invitation to your most profound journey. Are you ready to transcend your current limitations? Are you prepared to unlock the divine sanctuary within? Are you committed to your soul's eternal growth? Take the next step. 1. Subscribe to continue this transformative journey. 2. Share this video with those seeking spiritual awakening. 3. Comment below, what's your first step towards spiritual liberation? Your soul's journey begins now. Embrace the awakening.